All right.
For a computer science.
Hey, Amanda.
Huh?
Oh, Amanda's on.
I don't know if my audio is going through.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
I had to give part of my shift away so I could be here, but I'm happy because I don't want to be at work. So, yay.
All right. I'm just trying to get everything logged in and running. You know, it's one of those things where in an ideal world, I would not need 3 machines to do the job of one, but that's the way it's set up here. And it's going to drive me crazy. Okay. So I want to join the meeting. Come on. Log out. Join.
Nobody else has their webcam, so I'm turning mine off.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right, so let me go log in over here. Let me tell you how I hate the system.
I'm still trying to get in.
Huh?
I'm still trying to get in.
Yep. I'll put the meeting number off if that's easy.
Yeah, it's
Is it cool if I'm not actually in the Zoom meeting for this one? Because I've got a lot of stuff going on both my machines.
Should be.
I can hear you just fine.
No.
All right, well there, cool. So Amanda, you should see a Linux desktop that's got the Linux Mint LM symbol down there in the corner.
Where, huh?
Do you see a desktop that has a mouse moving
Yes.
around it? Okay, good. So that's a Linux operating system, yes.
with the room
Oh,
numbers.
sorry. It's 3 different machines running right now that do this. And it shouldn't be. All right, the room number is 763269192.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I know. I found out that because I'm running 3 under my name, I have to just start the meeting on one of them and then join the meeting, which it won't let me do unless I just type that number in and ignore everything else. All right, we got a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
Same.
Remind me to start the recording when we get back, please.
I'm not even going to turn on my laptop mic because it's so bad.
What?
I'm not going to turn on the mic on this. It's so bad.
Oh, no. I'm not even going to be in Zoom, so. I figured out I can dual boot on that, so I need like 19 USBs to do it, which is ridiculous, but I want to almost dual boot Linux on one and then Mac OS on the other. Just so somebody sees me with a Chromebook with Mac OS. I think on one of those like Lenovo's, one of those big ones,
Yeah.
that's where you want Mac OS, because somebody would be looking like this massive like blocky computer with Mac OS.
Don't those once we have the Quattros in them?
This guy right there?
No, the one on the right. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, these things are monsters.
i7, 7th gen. I don't know what everything is in there, but I know the ThinkPads are like
Probably a
Sure.
700 HP with Quattro.
It's got your little biometric thumbprint thing right there, because in case you want to look like you work for the FBI. It's a good time. I need to finish this.
From this?
Oh, it doesn't work. No.
Wait, is something happening?
Devin Beal is happening. Never mind.
I went to the bathroom. I don't know if I missed anything. I'm here. Amanda is here. Please.
Yeah, we know Amanda.
Okay, I need the credit.
No, somebody else was just probably touching their microphone and making all sorts of noise.
Not working properly.
So first we do, the flying bird. I am going to, you can choose whether or not you see me on the video, and when I share the screen, you'll also see the desktop. So it depends on what's going on. Let me bring the camera down a little bit. So when I do my soft shoe routines, you'll be able to see those. I did want to make sure that it says it's recording, but it lied last time, so. Oh, that's right, it's on this machine. Oh, come on. Well, I'm gonna have to come up with 2 different accounts, I think. Everybody can see that. Amanda, what are you saying? Anything?
Me seeing?
Yeah,
I see you.
okay. So that part's working.
Yes. Before you had the screen up, and then you were like minimized. It was good. Like it was, we could see the screen. But I don't know about now.
All right, yeah, I've got to
I think it's whoever's talking.
testing 1, 2, 3, and let's see if I pop up, but I don't think it is. So,
I see you. You're there. I think you just see when we pop up or some. I don't know. I don't know how to computer.
you're seeing the computer screen now, right?
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to get started. I don't think it's recording, but which one of these is the host? Should be recording. I'm so glad they put wheelchairs in here now. See, I can get my work done. So, where did we leave off, right?
Sorry.
So a couple of the things you were supposed to be working on, one was to get a version of Linux, preferably Fedora, which is a version of Ubuntu, onto your desktops or onto at least a thumb drive. And to reiterate from last week, there's a number of ways to get on. You can do what's called a dual boot, which means that on your hard drive, this is your hard drive, graphically represented, it's going to split it and put Windows on one side, and it's going to put Fedora on the other. They're both full operating systems, and at boot, you're going to get asked which one do you want. You zoom in on that a little bit because I know it's probably hard to see from. Is that better? Which one do you want? This gives you the best install of Fedora on your computers if you have the ability to do that. If you're running on one of the the college computers, they're not going to let you do that. You don't have permission to get in and install a new hard drive. So the second option is to do a live boot, which means that everything is on your thumb drive. On thumb drive. And that just means that before you boot up, you put in a thumb drive into your computer, and you open up, start up the computer, and it hopefully will go there. If it doesn't, what do we need to do?
Change the boot order thing.
Right, so if it doesn't and it goes, oh, I just restarted, it took me right back to Windows 10 or Windows 7 or whatever you're on, then what you need to do is go into BIOS, do that whole F1, delete, F12, whatever the key is on your computer, go into BIOS and change the boot sequence. Take this off again now. So you just need to have USB on boot order at the top.
I got it on VMware. Is that okay?
Yep, and so that's the third option. So we've got the live boot, which is going to run everything off your thumb drive. The computers on campus should let you do that. Although you may have to change the boot order, which it may or may not let you do. I know before we took over this lab, even though they were locked down, it let you change the boot order without having the permissions to install a new new operating system. So that may be a flaw in their security system, or it could just be that they wanted to leave that possibility. So it would let you do a live boot, just would not let you install it on the computer. And then the third option is to use a virtual machine. And, VMware, like Amanda said, is one option. VirtualBox is another option.
That one sucks.
It works fine on mine. And then there's Hyper-V, which is the one that comes on Windows, but I've had issues with it. So I think it all depends. It's probably which hardware, which software are you running, and which one works best. I haven't used VMware. VirtualBox worked okay, yes.
The problem with VirtualBox, I think, is it only supports some distros of Linux in 32-bit.
Yes, there are some 64 bitters in there, but not all of them. Like Linux Mint, you can put in 64-bit. Fedora will only put it in a 32-bit. So I've got 64-bit Linux Mint. That's what you're looking at here. Now, I know it has you install Fedora. If Fedora is just giving you headaches and headaches, if you want to go ahead and download Linux Mint, you're not going to be using any of the virtualwares unless you can figure out how to make an ISO drive for Linux. I haven't been able to figure that one out yet for Linux Mint. Because what it does is it gives you the virtual machine, gives you the live boot files, which should have an ISO file on them, but if you try to expand on the disk, it doesn't seem to show up. So I'm not sure, it's probably done something like this to try to keep you from mucking with it. I don't honestly know. But what you can do is it does live boot off the thumb drive that you'll get out of a Linux Mint install. And then if you want, you end up with a button right on the top of the desktop. It's not here because I've already installed it. It would say, do you want to install Linux? You click that and you go through the install, and now you have it. It's running live right up to the point it says time to restart. And you say, yeah, let's restart. And then it will ask you, please remove the media, the thumb drive, because otherwise it's going to go right back to booting live off the thumb drive, even though you've just installed Linux Mint. But pull this out, reboot the computer, and it'll pop up and say, do you want to run Windows 10 or do you want to run Linux Mint? Some of this stuff I can't show you because the moment we start doing things like rebooting, we lose it all. The best I could do would be to try to do some screen captures and make them into a PowerPoint slide set and stuff like that. It's one of the inherent problems of trying to show you stuff that doesn't work while you're in the middle of a video conference. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sit down here. One of the things that you had, probably should go look at the questions too, but trying to remember. What I'd like to spend a little time on is going through the Linux Mint, some of the commands, so that you can start to see that. If you have any of the questions from the homework assignment, feel absolutely free. Think about that for the next 10, 15 minutes while I go through some of the basic commands and show you how they work. And then you can have those ready and we'll open those up for discussion. Before I do that, let me just check off whoever's here. So at the end of the semester, you get brownie points for showing up instead of watching it offline. I don't remember how many brownie points it takes to make, a cup of coffee, but a couple. So it's the 24th. We have Amanda Diaz. We have...
My connection is iffy because I live in the middle of the woods, so if I don't hear something, I'm sorry.
Well, if you're having a hard time hearing, let me know. And it sounds like you just did.
It's just laggy. I don't like it, but hopefully it'll be okay.
Okay, well, I'll do the best I can to talk slowly. Just.
I can always just check it later.
Yep.
But I am here and listening for now. The whole time.
And we got Noah. Yep. And Franklin.
No, what happened?
I'm just taking attendance. Devin, are you on there?
Yes, I saw him in there.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know
Cool. I'm just making sure you're really live.
So do we ask questions through the mic or no?
You can, or let me open up the chat window.
My thing is really bad right now.
So I got a dog sitting right next to me. I'd rather him not start barking.
Girl. All right, so there we go. All right. So Christopher, you're on there someplace? I think I got everybody else.
Me too.
The I've got a okay. Boy, that is laggy, isn't it? Well, I'm not sure how well this is going to work. I just moved the chat window and it's still sitting right where it was. Funny because the video is coming through okay, but the actual window sharing is wicked laggy. Oh, yeah, that's like a minute behind.
It's not coming in too bad because I have it nice and clear right now.
I heard somebody.
Sorry, my mic is kind of crap on my laptop,
Yep.
but it's coming in nice and clear for me.
Okay. No, I'm just, like, I moved something on the desktop and we've got the Zoom working on the side monitors here. And it was between, I don't know, 30 and 45 seconds between when I moved it on the screen and it showed up in Zoom. And it's going to be very hard for you to follow on, but I'll give it, we'll see what's going to happen. I'm just shopping a note out to everybody. So what I'm going to do on all of the Linux, someplace you have a terminal command. On Linux Mint, it's right down at the bottom. And I'm going to open it. Then you're going to wait 30 seconds and it'll show. Tempted to just open a command prompt and fake it. So I'm going to put a couple of the commands up on the screen, up on the board. If I want to see a directory listing, what's the one I use?
Like a listing of all the directories in the.
In whatever location you're at. Two letters.
CD.
Change directory. LS.
LS. So if I do an LS in a directory, it's going to pop up. Good. You can now see what a terminal looks like. Some of the versions of Linux, that's all you get. All you get is the terminal. If you were on a server running Linux, this is what it's going to look like. Because you want to maximize or minimize the overhead associated with running the machine, so you put as little as possible. On the other hand, most of us like a little more to go by. And trust me, things like the help commands and the manuals are really helpful, and they weren't there in the earliest days because people just kind of, hey, if you didn't know what LS was, you must be stupid. But you know, it's gotten much better. It's been 20-something years. So LS will list the directory. CD was?
Change directory.
Right, so CD changes directory. So let's just say we're in a directory that says root documents pictures in, I don't know. So we have 5 directories inside of where we are. And I can say, change directory to Tom, and it will now open this up. And I'll have a whole new, then I'm gonna have to go and hit LS again, so I know what files and directories are inside of the Tom directory. If I wanna get back out, what do I do? Do you remember? CD.
Isn't it up carrot?
No.
What are you saying? Go back?
So if I want to get out of the directory I'm in and go one up in the root direct, move.
2 periods?
Yes, 2 periods. So
Nice.
CD space dot.
So,
period.
so what does CD period backslash period do? I was confused. That was one of the examples. Does that take you back too?
Now I'd have to go look. So,
another question I had is like, are these commands that we're learning, we're learning clearly, obviously it's gonna be the basic commands. Is every chapter we go through just gonna have like a huge list of commands that we're gonna be learning? Because this is already too much.
you go and you say, and this is what I did was Linux commands PDF.
Oh, and you just.
And I just grabbed, and so here's 4 pages of your most common Linux commands.
We gotta have copies of that, or did you just get it from anyone? Perfect.
Unfortunately, there's only 3 of you in the room and 2 of you online. So if you're online, I would just go and search for, or you can wait until Tuesday, Linux commands. I would add PDF just because I want a document that I can print out. But if you like to work it all online, just leave out the PDF, and you're going to find a reference. There's 1,000 of them out there. Most of these have not changed. So the thing to remember, everything you see and everything you do in Linux can be done in the terminal. You can make files, delete files, move files, open documents, close documents, backup files. You can open connections to other hosts. You can close connections, set up your network, close your network, change your display settings. You can do everything through the terminal. What the people have done in a graphical user environment like this one, which on Linux Mint, it's called GNOME. That sounds like I'm back in biology, the genome. But the GNOME GUI, graphical user interface, what people have done is they have written routines that allow you to see it in a graphical manner. As an example, if this was my whole screen here, the whiteboard, and I wanted to put an icon here that said Chrome, so I could open the browser. Well, first, of course, I have to install Chrome on my in my machine. So I had already done that. I could, and when I installed it, it came with the graphical file for the icon. So there's a command that would let me paint onto my desktop that picture in the following XY location. And will attribute that file in its XY area that it has the ability to then open the file if I click on it. So all of that can be done through commands that you could do at the terminal level. The cool thing with Linux is it allows you to bundle terminal commands together into a program so that you can write a simple program. when they get into the more complex programs, you know, it looks more like you're writing in C rather than writing in simple one-line items, because a lot of Linux is written in C.
Question. So this is module 3 stuff, correct?
You know, I'd open it up on the computer, but I wasn't able to get that open at the same, I'd have to go to a different computer.
It's okay. I'll just open it on my end and check.
Yep. I have not memorized the modules in that yet.
All the command stuff was 3. Yes.
Okay, so 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. I haven't even started reading that because I'm a bit behind, but I will. So.
And I know Noah brought it up too, that those first couple of chapters, and I think probably in the future I'll limit the number of chapter questions that are of an essay kind of nature. Yeah, I know. So that we can really focus on a couple of them as a group rather than asking them all. But just think of the learning you can bring. The chapters that come after this are much more focused on things like the commands. What happens if you do the following command on the terminal command line? What happens if you put the following change to, because you can go in and find all the things I can put beyond ls in order to get other stuff. Now, we had the question, what happens if you do change directory? Was it dot dot backslash or forward slash?
I believe backslash and then another dot dot. I think it takes you back too?
Yeah.
No?
Takes you back to the home.
Oh, we threw away from home?
Huh?
We were at documents and we got back to home. So
Yep.
What was the full? Was it home something documents? Because then
Now I'll have to look, yeah. Oh, that's misspelled. Yeah, so I was a couple in.
Okay, yeah, so you were 2 in. So then you could, I guess you would just, if you wanted to move 3 back, you would just repeat that again. If you want to move 1 forward, it's a single period, right?
Mixture. And, okay, so yeah, now I'm in 1, 2, 3. I went into documents, made a new file a new folder called Tom, and I could keep going like that. And I think what that dot dot slash dot dot takes you all the way back to home.
Okay.
But it may be just that it takes you back 2. If we check it right now, if it was only 2, it'll take us back to and where are we? Yeah, you know, you're right. It takes back 2.
Okay, so, and then, yeah.
So I wonder if
more of this takes you back more. And
oops, change directory to documents. And change directory dot 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 dot. Yep. So if you want to go back to 3, but there's another command to go all the way back to home. Now, so that's the list command. CD, change directory, and like I said, you can just put in what you want to change it to. Oh, okay, if you just
I'm learning.
yeah, this is doing Ubuntu. I hope that's all right. That's the only thing I could find that was supported on Chrome.
okay.
It's working now.
So the commands in Linux are almost identical.
Yeah, I figured that much, but I did see that it referred specifically to Fedora at a couple points, and I just don't know how much.
Well, and the interesting thing, which would be, if you want to try this, and check it out, go open a command line in Windows and find the same commands because they're all there.
Really?
But it's enough distant. So
Yeah.
that if you go back far enough, and we're talking back into the 60s and 70s, they all came from a similar language.
Yeah, I know there were a couple points in the book where they were talking about how some commands that work in Windows work in Linux simply for the sake of Windows people having an easier time with it. Like,
A lot of them were there long before Linux existed. But I imagine there's some back and forth from both sides.
well, yeah, because there was the Unix there was the Linux way to get there.
Yep.
It was like the new characters, but then there was like, I almost think it was something for directory. I don't remember.
Right.
There was like it resembled Windows
Right.
of like a.
Well, like the ls command in Linux is the dir command in
Yeah.
DOS.
Okay. Yeah.
The standard. So every computer has something like this running in the background. When Windows, when you go to that command shell, which I can't show you on this because I'm running Linux at the moment. If I had been able to get, running with a dual, with a virtual box. Who's got virtual box? One of you got it running? Not yet. Then you can go into the Windows side, open up your command prompt, and type dir, and it'll be the same as what you get from ls. There's probably someplace else. Can you match Windows, command line commands to Linux? And I'll bet somebody's got a map of them out there.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can't do with one that you can't do with the other. It's just that Windows removed us from the command line 20 years, 30 years ago. And the purpose behind Windows is that you didn't need to use the command line. Linux is newer. And when you get to something like Linux Mint, there's not much you need to use the command line for.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I loaded it on this machine this afternoon. And I loaded Chrome. And I loaded Zoom. And I could keep going and loading half the things. I'll bet there's a GoToMeeting app that'll run on it. Office doesn't support, unless I go to Office 365, which I can run in Chrome off the internet. But I couldn't load actual Office 2016 on the computer itself because it's not a supported format for Office 2016. But if you go to something like the simpler, they're not more powerful, they're more direct. So Linux has some very simple, low overhead operating systems that allow you to do as much, but it requires you to use your head and your reference manual a lot more. Because you're going to be going, I forget what the string of commands is to do the following. Unless you do it for a living, in which case, if you went to a server farm and talked to one of the server admin people, they live in the Linux world. Most of those machines are running Linux, and most of them are running at the terminal level. Because they don't need browsers, they don't need a lot of the other stuff. If they need that, they're going to go pop off onto a machine on the side and figure out what they need and then go put the correct command in. Questions? And I'm not proselygating, what's the word? That's not the word, but I'm not advocating necessarily for Linux. I've been a Windows proponent for a long time, but I also will give Linux the benefit that when you look at some of the newest versions, they're not much different than Windows.
No.
And we've, in the business we run up in Orono, we've never been able to go to the Linux for the simple reason that there's two pieces of software that we have to use,
And they don't support
and they aren't supported in Linux. They're supported in the Apple environment and the PC environment, and that's it.
With a lot of these distros, like I've seen distros kind of modeled after like the Mac thing where it's just like good on the eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it looks super user friendly and everything. The only problem with it is nothing supported. But like a lot more nowadays, like Steam's got mad games on there, and that's all that matters.
I mean, you can go on here and just download Steam. Now,
Yeah.
not all of the games are supported.
Yeah, they got a list though.
Yeah, it's 1,000 or
Yeah.
2,000 or whatever. So, you can play most of the popular ones.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that the developers want that market too. And those geeks who really like open source software and like Linux and like to play with servers, well, they like to play games too. And so they're just as likely to be out there and helping to turn Minecraft into a Linux executable, which it is, when you run it under Steam. So,
What losers?
what, playing Minecraft?
Yeah.
You've never
And
played
video games in
Minecraft, right?
general. Huh?
Have you never played Minecraft?
I haven't, but a lot of my friends do.
Yeah.
Someone said I'll probably like it, but I was like, no. No.
All right. So
Wait, what is due on Tuesday?
yes, this is right.
This is like this whole module 3? Not 4? On Tuesday.
It's in the syllabus. I'd have to go open the syllabus up myself.
No, it's fine. I can do that. Sorry.
So what I did just put in on the screen, because it had been gotten crowded, I put in the clear command, and it just took away everything and brought me back to the base. Notice I can expand my terminal, which is not a bad thing if you want to be able to see more. Oh, Brian joined us. Yeah, Brian, I know it says it's recording. It said it was recording last class, and it didn't. You missed that part, though. All right, where's Brian? There he is. Late. Boom. So if I want to just clear everything, I just do that. It makes it disappear. But as you can see, I can go up and down. I use the arrow keys to see what's up there. Let's see what another cool file, cool one is. Oops. Nothing in here. Let's make a file. All right, who's got it real quick if they can find it? Create a new file is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's 2 pages.
2 pages, okay.
Create or update file,
Yes.
touch file, or touch space file. Yeah, this is super useful.
So there's the test file. And to edit it, man, I reviewed all of these last night, and they've already popped out of my head.
This has none of like the wildcard things.
No, I mean, this is just one that I found. If you could find the complete list of Linux commands, and it would be a much longer document.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And if you think about it, so one of the things that they talked about, more messages here, hold on. Let's see, Isaiah. I have you now, Isaiah. Okay, so one of the things you can do is you can type help, and it will give you a list of all of the basic commands. For example, let's find one. The PWD. So I can do help PWD, and that's going to print the name of the current working directory. And if I add a -L, capital L, it's going to print the value if it names the current working directory, and a -P. So PWD -L gives me the directory, and PWD -P, in this case, do the same. If we were on a different physical location, perhaps we're running on a virtual server, then those two might not be the same. We're not going to worry about it today. It's more than you will need to know at the moment. Help type displays information about common command about command type. So for each name indicates how it would be interpreted if it was used as a command name. So type, and then hash is a shell built in. So maybe that's not enough information. We do help hash. That gives us a little bit more information. And it determines and remembers the full path name of each command. If no arguments are given, information about remembered commands is displayed. Well, I need more than that. So I'm going to go to man hash, and I get an entire manual on how to use that particular command. So our options here include ls, sorry, not ls, help. And then if I do this, it means that it's a name that I'm putting in place. So, in this case, hash, but it could have been help ls, help cd, help mkdir for make directory. Any of those, I'm going to get a help explanation. But it's going to be a fairly short one. Call it a paragraph rather than 5 pages. And if I go to man, which is short for manual, and do the same thing and write hash, then I'm going to get a much more intricate. And there's one more. Anybody remember what it was? So I can go in here, and if you can see what's on my screen, oh man, that's messy. What the? What you don't see, which is all hash marked, I don't know why that's like that. There's a window over on the side, but it does not extend over onto it, so it's artifacting pretty badly there. Okay. At the bottom, you'll see manual page hash, line 1, which is where the cursor is. Press H for help or Q for quit. I'm done looking at it, so I'm going to hit Q, and I go back to the basic command line prompt in the terminal. I'm going to do clear just to clear the screen. It moves the command line to the top. I do info hash, I get another set of information. And I can just scroll down it. So that's, oops. It's a fair amount of information. Page down, page down.
Oh,
All right. Okay, and quit gets me out of that. So info hash, and then man hash. The man hash, and actually in this case it looks the same, or really close to it. So those are your three things that you've got available. Help, which tends to be the shortest, man, and info. All of these will open up help files or help systems. So shortest, in this case, these are the same, but you may find that some commands, like hash or whatever, will only show up in manuals or only show up in info, but not both. So if you come up blank with manuals, just check info. Yes.
I'm sorry, I won't interrupt my problem. I'll wait.
A separate problem.
It's a deep one too, so we'll just.
Okay, so that will get you into those. What was another command that they have us working on in the homework?
There was something I wanted to. Cengage keeps crashing.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. So I'll.
And that's right. No one likes to say pretty cool when it's really not. It's a really nice way of saying, oh, buggers.
It was the difference between, it was talking about going back and editing text, and there was like different ways you could do it. If I can find, there was like VI,
Yep.
whatever that was, like that entire section that was talking about like editing text stroke. Yeah, it's crashing again.
All right.
There was VI and there were like two others. I don't remember. And I didn't understand what the difference, first of all, between the three
Okay.
that it gave us were. Okay.
Okay, so what I did, we opened up that file, I think I called it tester Tom. So if I go look under documents, this is the exact representation that I would get if I went to the terminal window. See if I get where the terminal window go.
Oh, so that's just a GUI of the terminal window?
No.
Those are all your directories though, right?
Yes. There's so many things on here. Let me get out of, so here I am in the terminal window, trying to get it so they don't overlap. And if I do, sorry, I'm an old DOS guy. I'll always type dir when I need to do list.
Okay.
Change directory, so I'm just going to change back to home and list. So there's desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, and videos. So you can see in the list command, every single thing that is in the my main folder is showing up in the home folder if I go on the file manager directory, whatever you want to call it, in the graphical user environment. Those two are related. They're just accessing the same information two different ways. So this one, you know, somebody took the time to build the little icon that looks like a file, and they made a download look different than a document look different than a music. If I open documents, I'm going to get, there's my Tom folder. And the same thing if I go over here and just say change directory to documents, to a list, there's Tom and Zoom. If I open Tom, there's the test file. Go over here and change directory to Tom and do a list, and there's my test file. I'm going to just open this. Noah has a problem with his Chrome book Linux install, but we'll get it fixed. So I just have to save that.
I'm holding you to it.
And now if I go over here, because I'm in the file where text is, and more test, and there it is.
Whoa. And then we can edit that, right?
Yeah, and I'm just forgetting what the when in doubt, right? Open Chrome.
I think you can use the thing that I was talking about, the VI editor,
All right.
to actually edit that.
Otherwise, we'll give it a shot. VI. Yep, there you go. So now I can go through here.
Yeah.
And we'll make this a second line. Oops. Should be able to do that. All right, I can't do an enter in there, but and that's odd. I'm not sure it's going to let me go in there. Okay. Just got to search for it here. How to edit Linux, or how to edit files in Linux terminal. Open a file using VI and then press the insert button. Okay.
Oh, it's I. So I think it's the insert button is I. Because
Well, it's also on the.
I think what you were in command mode, and you needed to be in insert mode.
So. If you look on your keyboard, there should be a insert button right next to the delete button. It was a very popular key decades ago, and it isn't used much anymore. Here it is, insert.
Oh God, I don't have that key in my Chromebook.
Well, there you go. And I wanted to put a return here, so let's see if that'll work. Oh. Yeah, it doesn't let you do like a return, at least not the way, but I can still type. And oh, it turned to me, that's what it is, it turned off. Franklin is wearing a hat. So we can go in there and do that, and file, see what are our choices, new tab, new window, view, search, terminal. I can change, this early is, that's terminal, it's not about this. So if I just do a, well, that's nice. Are we having fun?
You have to hit the escape key.
Yeah, I've tried that one a couple
You
times.
shut that one a couple times. That's what it's saying for me.
I've tried it, with and without the. Okay. Yeah.
Spirit back.
Yep. All right, so if you're currently in insert or append mode, press escape. I think that's to get out of the insert mode, and then press colon, and then press Q exclamation point.
That quits the editor and does not save any changes. To save is colon WQ.
Yep. Okay. Oh, we're having fun now. Close this. So we're going to do colon W colon Q.
I think it's just WQ.
Yeah, it's just W.
Okay. Oh, there it is down at the bottom. Hey. So now if we go back over here, look at it in the graphical environment, and it's all there. Now, in the real world, which would you rather do if you're doing a document?
Not bad.
Now, here's the cool thing, though. Let's say you're writing, you need to write a program that you will use to run a set of commands in Linux. You do not have to use the VI file. You could use the text, the whatever this particular, what do we call it, about xed. So we can use the xed editor.
Yeah, it gave us more examples of text editors as well. There's Emacs or whatever.
Yep. Well, and there are ones that, so this is the equivalent of Notepad in Windows.
Yep.
Which is a text-only TXT kind of file. But in Linux, you can also get the ones that are equivalent to Word, where formatting is you can't, if you wanted to write a script to run a set of commands in the Linux environment, you have to use the text-only editor, because you can't have any of the metacode that's embedded behind it. If you ever want to look at what a Word document looks like, just open up a Word document, type hello world, save it, now go to your file menu and have open using Notepad. And that to thing, hello world, will be a page or two of meta text. And you can't use that when you're trying to write a file that you want to run in a command line environment and get something running in Linux, because it's two completely different worlds. Which is why these plain text. We used to do this all the time with things like the startup menus. So and it still does it, in Microsoft operating system, there are startup files that Windows uses to set home directories and other key factors. It used to be always in these editable files.
Yeah.
They've embedded it much differently now. So that's not, but for the first 30 years of Windows, you could go in there and just type it in. And sometimes that was necessary because you'd have a hardware failure someplace and you're on tech support with somebody, from pick a company, and they're going to tell you, all right, we need to go into the config file and actually change or add the following line. And that would allow Windows during boot up to recognize that device, things like that. You still do that in Linux, more than you would in a Windows environment. Okay. So that was some text editing.
So that actually makes perfect sense then. So that the other chapter that I was referring to, other than VI editors, was just common text editors, and it gave a bunch of stuff that looked like that. So
Yep.
it's
So
either VI or you're using one of these.
Yep. And the XEd gives you a simple text file, because if you open that up, you'll notice you don't have any options up here to bold, underline,
Yeah.
make italics, any of that. But if we downloaded a different editor, then
There are some that would have those options.
right. Open with text editor, open with LibreOffice Writer, properties. So it's a simple text file. Oops. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm going to try the open with LibreOffice. And now you notice, well, I could go in here and make this bold, italic, underlined, save. See, and now it contains formatting that cannot be saved as a text file. So it's going to ask, do we want to use the open document format, ODF format? And we either have to say yes, in which case it's no longer the file that we started with, or we say save it as a text format, in which case we're going to lose. We should lose. I'm going to close it now. Did I get into a new? Yeah, that's the problem. Close that out. Oops, reload. So if we go back out here, it wasn't able to save that the way we had it. Just back to its normal self. And we can't, if we change it as an open document format, we wouldn't be able to open it in a simple text editor.
So
Although I should probably check that.
is ODF the equivalent of like dot text and
No, it's the equivalent of, oh, did you say .x?
no dot like TXT for Microsoft?
No, so
Would that be?
what you're looking at now is the equivalent of a TXT file.
Oh, so the text file is equivalent to a TXT.
Yes. Well, that's what the TXT stands for, just it's a text file. And it has to use simple ASCII character formatting, and there is no metacode. And if you're not, let me open that. Let me go back and do this with LibreOffice. Do that once more. I'm just going to change it real quick, and I just to show you how it's going to look different, hopefully. Save this. Save it as an ODF file format. Close this. Oop, did it save it?
Sorry.
Okay, so we're now saved. I'm going to close out everything here. And now I've got two files here. If I open, all right. So I'm having a hard time. There's 3 buttons on this, and it's right mouse click, open with other application. It's XEd, right? It's actually, it's going to be a text editor. Okay, so there, that's what it looks like just by changing those things and getting all of the meta installed above it. If you look through here, you should be able to find someplace the actual text that you put in there.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know. And this is what a Word doc, I mean,
Oh, is there a Chinese character in there? There's absolutely like an Asian character in there just hanging out.
well, you know, I mean, the computer doesn't care.
Mandarin.
Well,
That's ridiculous.
I was trying to find any of the text that we put in here, but,
This is scaring me.
well, no, I mean, this is just the difference between a text file and a formatted file. You just can't mix the two, that's all.
See.
If I open the same thing, of course, with Libra, it's going to look just like it was here. So there's a lot in that document that you aren't seeing because LibreOffice doesn't show it to you. And that's
So what would you use exactly?
Sorry, what?
Sorry, my mic's really bad. When would we exactly use this?
Which one?
Formatting.
Well, I mean, you'd use LibreOffice for typing up a letter, you know, making a birthday card, doing whatever. If you're scripting for actually doing things that are needed by the operating system or by starting and stopping programs in a Linux environment, particularly servers, routers, switches, or you know, any of the other more Linux-based operations, then you need to use a text file because it can't have any of that crap in there. So they both have a place. I wouldn't use a text file to write a friend a message because I like to be able to bold a word or change the font and do stuff like that. And you can't do any of that in a text editor, text-only editor. Glasses. All right, what else was there? What you got for me?
Okay, so according to the syllabus, on Tuesday, we should be on or finished with Module 5. And that scares me.
All right.
I feel kind of overwhelmed with this.
Little at a time, we'll get there.
Okay.
I am in such a crummy situation right now.
A Chromie situation?
Crummy situation, that's a better way to put it. Yeah, like my download failed halfway through. So like half of Linux is installed and I have to get it to update from the point of where it was. And I'm trying to find a command to do that, but
I think that you should like throw the thing in the garbage and get a new thing.
For sure.
Oh, the computer.
Yes.
Okay, so no, so module 4 would be what's due on the 29th.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yep.
I
We'll
thought
talk,
5 was.
yeah, we'll talk about module 5 next class, and then it'll be due the following one, I think. I'm okay with that.
Yay. Thank you.
Franklin said he's okay with it too.
Who the hell is that?
You're going to hurt his feet. He's sitting right there. You just can't see him.
Hi, Franklin. Thank you.
He's the one with the hat. Okay, so let's go back to some of our list of commands. And so I'm going to get out of Tom directory. And change directory list. Okay, so we're back to our kind of our home directory, and I want to move into, we probably are, right? Yep. And I'm going to move into change direction to pictures. And it's empty. So if I do an ls and there's nothing there, it's because there's nothing there. So I'm going to make directory mkdir and make a file called Bangor. And we'll make a file called Portland. And we'll make a directory called Augusta. Make a directory called Howland. And now if I do a ls, there's those 4 folders I just created. They're all empty because I just created them. I'm going to go over here, back to Chrome, and I'm going to, I don't know why it's not letting me open a new tab, but I think it's just because it's right up by where the junk for the meeting is. So Howland, main, I'm going to go to images. That's a nice picture. Save image as. And I don't want to be in downloads. I'm going to go to documents, documents, pictures, Howland, and save. Actually, it says it's called download JPEG. I'm going to call it, go up here and change the name to Howland main JPEG. And of course, now if we go here, and if we do a list, change directory to Howland list, and there's Howland main.jpg. I can't do a text edit for that. Sorry, it looks like it takes a little bit to catch up on the screen that everybody else is seeing. But I think you can all see that. I'm going to go back out. And watch what happens if I try to remove the directory, which is, that's not what I want to do. Oh, yeah, what is it? If I, yeah, I know, all right, so. Oops. Linux, what? So if we want to do that,
Isn't it RMDIR?
Well, there's several ways to do it. I'm trying to do it so I get the error message. So with recursion, then I would do, all right, so that RMDIR, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So RMDIR Howland. Failed to remove Howland because the directory is not empty. So if you use RMDIR, then you're gonna come away, cleanly without killing everything in there. Kind of one little safety feature. I could go into, change directory to Howland. I'm gonna clear this. And so here I am in Howland. I've got that one picture. I could remove, Howland main.jpg. But I don't want to do that yet. So what I'm going to do is go back out one, list it, and if I do remove, so what this is going to do, I'm using the remove file command, and I'm going to remove all the files from Howland. The -R stands for recursive, which means it's going to take everything out of inside that, and it's going to make it go bye-bye. So now if I do, Howland's gone. So if you go to the trouble of putting those extra commands in, you know, your entire homework assignments from the semester just disappeared because you were sleepy when you typed the command in. But you couldn't have done the RM directory, remove directory, Howland with files in it. It won't work. I think that's. What else was in the homework? Oops. Looks like it's still coming. No, it just dropped off. Hey, that's a good time to stop. It just crashed me out of the system.
What the heck?
I was just going to ask if anybody had anything else, and if not, we're going to cut it for the day. If you, oh, go ahead, Amanda.
I was going to say, well, thankfully we can mess around with it ourselves.
Yes, yes. So let's see who's here today, and I'm just going to go through, ask you whether or not you've got some version of Linux working. So, Devin, how about you?
I got Fedora and Kubuntu if I need any of those.
Okay, cool. Amanda, did you get one going?
Yes, on my school laptop, but I want it on my main computer, but my internet's potato, so I might try to get it overnight.
Well, and you can put it on a thumb drive and then take it home and boot it from that.
Oh yeah, I have the one that you lent me right here, so, but I want it there for good.
No, but I mean, you can install off of that as well.
Oh crap, I'm a dummy. All right, good to know.
If not, I can lend you the.
Or I could get my own flash drive and then just like transfer it.
Yeah, or if you've got a flash drive that you can spare, I know they have them in the bookstore, you can get them at Walmart. Linux Mint is an easier install, but it may not be completely synchronized with the requirements in the homework. So, but they should be this close. This close? There we go, this close.
Sounds good.
All right, how about you, Weston?
I have Fedora working on this, and I have 3 other distros working at home.
Cool. Noah's working on it.
No way. There's no way.
Isaiah, have you been able to get one going? Isaiah pop out?
He said something in chat.
Where'd the chat go? Oh well. Hopefully, Isaiah, you've got it working. How about Brian?
Brian pieced out.
Oh. Christopher, did you get a copy of Linux going?
He muted himself, I think.
You're unmuted. I don't hear you though.
Maybe he went night-night.
Yeah, all right.
I'm here.
Okay. Were you able to get a copy of Linux working?
I'm not sure. I think I have. I just haven't had a chance to boot up my computer in BIOS.
Oh, so that you can, do you know how to do that?
I haven't looked it up yet. I just downloaded Fedora right before class.
Okay,
This neighbor, so if you don't let me get back.
okay. Franklin said he could give you a hand if you run into trouble.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And Franklin, you've got,
I got Fedora, but I might switch it to.
I mean, once you go into the terminal, they act pretty much the same.
It's just the Fedora feels like a smartphone on my laptop, and it won't connect to the internet. So if I have questions, I can't go on it.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think that probably is going to finish it for us. Christopher, you try to get that running. Franklin will help you if you need to. And Noah, I'll come help you because we still got some time. But I'm going to close the meeting out and we'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
You too.
You too.
How do I get out? Oh, okay. I see.
Have a good weekend.